we are going to do a brief, we're not going to linger on this too long, spoiler review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. We promised this last week.
So you're going to give it... I didn't know there's a dog in the story.
Yeah, it's Cosmo.
No, yeah. He's been a minute. He was a Ravager.
Oh.
Part of the Ravager.
Ravager
group, I would say.
So you guys gave your
Cosmo
rankings.
was caught by the Collector. Remember? He had all the things in the different cages. Cosmo was one of those.
So,
but he came in because of the Ravagers, though, right?
I think there's Cosmo joined the Ravagers.
Yeah, there's a big because of the last movie. This and the second movie kind of brought into this one. There's a lot more Ravagers in it, even though we saw Yondu in the first one.
Yeah.
There's more with the Ravagers.
I'm gonna start by like my big things that I liked.
Can I give a brief recap of what you guys said last week, since you guys will be giving your opinions?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give what you guys said and what the internet says about this. It's good. It's not amazing. It's not a bad Marvel film, but it didn't blow your socks off, and it definitely is not reviving people's interest in Marvel.
Well,
that's what you guys said, and then everybody online
when I watched the movie. So
everybody online was saying the exact same thing you guys said last week.
So
middle of the road.
So the things I liked, Rocket story, is some of the best Marvel storytelling.
It was good
ever, and I liked, like I said before, I liked Drax and what's her face?
Mantis.
I liked Drax and Mantis relationship. I liked Peter. I liked the characters.
Right.
The things that didn't work were the music.
Some of the music, not all. Some of it worked. Most of it didn't.
It wasn't the music itself. It was how the music was used when it was used.
Yeah.
Because this was an extremely emotional movie, and then occasionally you wouldn't linger on that emotion for too long. You would just switch to a happy-go-lucky music thing. Rocket is literally screaming and crying in a flashback, and then it's like. Just
doesn't fit the vibe.
Yeah, and then the High Evolutionary, excellent performance. I mean, the guy killed it. He was a villain. He was evil. He wasn't on this line of I'm kind of evil, but no, he was a bad guy.
But with that, even though he was a good character, I think. My opinion of his story, not discluding the Rocket portion of it, because I think they had a good relationship, and that was how Rocket's story was good. But he was just trying to do the same thing that Peter's dad did in the second movie of create this world, create a new world that was, the perfect world.
Well, I think
just a
Ego's
redo
thing
of the
was
second
I
one.
want everything to be perfect because I think I'm perfect.
Yeah.
High Evolutionary was I'm trying to create perfection out of imperfection.
Yeah, but I'm tired of seeing this. I want to build my own world thing.
And
that was dumb.
Yeah, that's understandable. But I think his performance is one of the best villain performances I've seen. He was evil. He was scary. He was,
his outfit was a little cartoon-esque.
That's fine. I liked it. It was.
I wish they would mute some of these colors. These Marvel colors are way too vibrant.
Not in Guardians.
Not in Guardians.
In Guardians.
Okay, fine. Not in
Guardians. You want this is what we want.
Sure.
I don't need this in Thor, but I want it in Guardians.
Yes. They have tried to do it in Thor, and that's what made Love and Thunder so bad.
Mute the colors, make it a little bit more moody.
Because it worked in Guardians, they want to do it in Thor.
The other thing regarding the music that I wanted to mention, they don't use the Guardians theme nearly. I think they use it once. That bum 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 ba-da-dum.
Yeah, they
use it like one time.
They only did like pop culture,
and it's in a terrible
stuff.
moment. Rocket's like flying a thing, and he hits a bunch of mutant things and scrapes them across the ship, and it goes bam, 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 ba-da-da, and then it's over. But that was like the big thing in the first and second movie. They hold hands.
Theme.
You play that excellent theme. The beginning of the second movie, they're fighting, and it opens with that theme. It's just they didn't use that nearly enough.
So to quick recap, I want to see, since this is the last Guardians of this band of individuals. So some of the mains. How does Peter's story end? Since this is a spoiler review.
So they break up. The crew breaks up.
Peter goes to go see his grandfather
on
Mantis.
Earth. Okay.
Mantis goes to try to find herself, I guess. And Drax stays in Nowhere, where their base is. Gamora becomes the mayor of Nowhere, and
Gamora's sister, what's her name? Nebula,
yeah. Gamora goes back to the Ravagers.
Gamora. Gamora is a Ravager in this movie.
So
So Nebula becomes the mayor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Ravagers, like Stallone and his crew that showed up in the second one, they show up for like 2 seconds as like this shoehorned in thing to introduce that Gamora is part of the Ravagers.
Mm-hmm. Well, at the
what about
and at the end?
And at the end,
Groot. What happens to him?
Groot and Rocket hang out. They stay.
So
together.
they become like Gimli and Legolas at the end of Lord of the Rings.
Well, they were together at the beginning.
Okay, yeah.
So
they're not disbanding from each other.
Rocket becomes the captain of the Guardians. Cosmo, Kraglin, Groot, Adam Warlock.
Yeah.
And then another girl are the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
So they redeemed Adam Warlock.
So this is my biggest complaint.
He
of the
was
movie.
not a character like
this is my biggest complaint, because Adam Warlock is one of the biggest Marvel characters in the Marvel comics.
Characters or villains? Or I guess they're both.
He's both.
So
villain and good guy.
He's not and good guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
break it down for him. Break it down.
So
like nothing with him.
Somebody, I think it was Gary from Nerdrotic, explained it like, they did doing the Infinity Saga without Adam Warlock was a crime.
Okay.
And then to bring him in like this and bring in an excellent actor to play him, they really didn't do him justice.
Eyebrows,
I think. Yeah.
And they hyped him up. They're like, he's been working out. He's been doing
right.
He wasn't even that big. Like,
was he covered up the whole time?
I feel like
he's covered up. He took his shirt off once, and he did. He looked good.
Yeah.
But
it kind of looked they gave him the Edward Cullen treatment and just spray painted his abs.
I think he looked genuinely, good. But again, they misused him.
Yeah,
they used him as a prop.
He played the same character that he plays in every movie. This
side character.
No, this dumb kid character.
Like Eustace?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like Eustace from Narnia?
Exactly like Eustace and Meet the Millers.
Yeah, he just
played
was.
the exact character.
He was a joke. They made a joke out of one of the
most iconic
villains / iconic characters.
Redemption stories?
Because they had to make his mom the villain, not him.
They made her a villain in the second one.
Yeah,
and
so
then
he had to be like under her.
Right, and then they had this thing where it's like, oh, the High Evolutionary made their species, so they're afraid that he'll destroy their planet. That makes sense, but I wanted to see him become a superhero in this movie. I wanted to see him be a big character in this movie.
So they just did dirty by Adam.
Yeah,
and they shouldn't have even brought him in if they were going to do him this way.
Mm-hmm. The only thing that he did was save
Peter, which was good.
But
and that should have been Gamora.
No, well,
because remember,
yes, maybe
because of the way that he saves her in the first movie, a little bit of roundabout storytelling, have her do that very same thing to him and pull him in.
Yes, that would have been
with
better,
the hard feelings, right? Because of the weird feelings throughout the film.
Why does he have to be saved at all? He has the earpiece that becomes a helmet. That's part of his thing. Why did he not have that on?
He didn't have that in the entire movie, and it was stupid.
Yeah.
He didn't have his rocket boots, and he didn't have his helmet.
He didn't have...
So he wasn't Star-Lord.
No. He had his elemental guns, which apparently only shoot lightning blasts and not like fire and ice, like they did originally. So yeah, no, he does save him, which I saw coming, but it should have been Gamora.
Okay.
Yeah.
To harken back to that first thing where they were kind of enemies. She went out in space and he went and saved her.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And in this, where they're not really friends, she should have gone out and saved him. That would have been a really, really good writing moment.
To be honest, and this is I haven't seen the film yet. Honestly, you know, seeing the Guardians play a big role, especially Gamora and Nebula in the Avengers with Thanos, and then seeing them pop up at the beginning of Thor: Love and Thunder, I just kind of feel like the Guardians, they were coming into this movie with the Guardians as a team really nerfed, you know? There are so much more bigger things outside of the team that was affecting the team. And so the interests of, you know, Peter and Groot and Rocket and Drax, all these people, and Gamora's relationship inside of that, the relationship of these characters just felt uninteresting because they've been bombarded upon by all these outside forces. So the story of Guardians of the Galaxies has been kind of nuked from the inside by all these other Avengers spinoffs.
I don't think it affects it as much. I think this is a fairly isolated trilogy.
Okay.
And one of the big issues I have is when the High Evolutionary blows up a planet with creatures on it that the Guardians interact with on a personal level. They go into their living room, they lay on their couch, they
became friends.
He blows up this planet, and you know, where the Guardians were like, in the first movie, they're like, we have to stop this guy from blowing up this planet. In this one, they're like, well, we have to save Rocket, so, you know, these people are going to die.
This is Avengers level devastation.
Avengers level devastation on a worldwide Earth-like planet with sentient beings.
And it's not really mentioned.
And yeah, it shows that the High Evolutionary is ruthless.
But it's like no one. It's not impactful.
But that should have been a moment for him to become a superhero, for him to save those people who are dying, to see, and that's what the Guardians should have been doing too. Honestly, they saved the kids on the ship at the end and the animals and everything, and that's great. But
that's a ship compared to a world,
right? It's an entire world.
They're not much of the Guardians if they let a whole world slip. You know what I mean?
They let an entire world slip in this one.
Dang.
And then my other biggest complaint, in the fight at the end, they keep breaking windows in space.
Yeah.
They keep breaking windows with no consequences in outer space.
And until they want it to be a consequence where Peter is out in space and
so
he's about to die.
they kept breaking windows and like standing on the edge with no guard or anything in the vacuum of space, or spacesuits or anything, and there's no consequences. And then when this, I was like, oh, okay, so
everyone suffocates and freezes to death instantly in this.
Like that.
Instantly.
Right. Unless, you know, maybe Gamora, maybe Nebula can survive it for a couple seconds, but all the rest of maybe Drax, everybody else dead instantly. But even then, it was longer than a couple seconds. So I was like, okay, maybe they're in a portion of space that kind of has an atmosphere. Oh, they're close to nowhere, which we know has an atmosphere inside. Maybe this is what I was like. I was trying to believe. And
why it just doesn't believe?
And then,
I honestly don't believe it just by the description. Breaking windows in space is always a red flag.
Rocket is flying a ship, and a thing busts in the window.
Yeah.
We are in outer space. He freezes and dies instantly. Also, these creatures are flying in space. They're partially organic. They're dead instantly. Radiation and the vacuum of space kills them instantly.
Yeah.
And then of course, I Love You Guys from Groot. And the end.
You mentioned that last week. You don't have to harp on that too much.
The ending kind of, you know, I'm glad it ends happy and kind of sad, kind of bittersweet.
Yeah. Real quickly, give me some. Well, you kind of sprinkled in some positives there, but like I guess you like the fact that he's a Guardians at the end.
I like Will Poulter as Adam Warlock. I wish he was a bigger character. I like all the characters. I like the High Evolutionary. I loved Rocket's story. It was
you like the way
emotional.
Peter's story ends?
I kind of like the way all their story ends.
Okay, except maybe the go off to find herself. What's her face?
Well, you know,
Mantis.
No, it felt good.
It actually. Aside from the negative connotations to the I need to find myself kind of lines.
Narrative.
It's like, it makes sense. She was with Ego her whole life, and then she was with the Guardians, and she doesn't...
She is a little lost personality-wise.
Right. She's been leaning on Drax, especially. And then, even Kraglin got his little roundabout story. In Cosmo, they got their little roundabout story.
And there was
to use the whistle arrow.
A whistle arrow scene like you wanted.
Very, very good.
Didn't they? I heard on a different review that it took him like the whole movie to figure out the whistle arrow.
He's in the beginning, and then he's in the end. Yeah.
Okay, but he's like training the whole time. He's trying to figure it out.
Right.
Freaking! I just want Yondu back, man.
Yondu shows up in one scene.
Yeah.
It's for Kraglin.
I just want him back. He was so cool.
He was good.
So freaking cool, man.